Hey guys, CrimsGreyVR, and today I'll be ranking my favorite local snake species, so let's get into it. Now guys, the first snake I'm going to rank is the gopher snake and bull snake. Now, the reason why I put these two together is due to the fact that they're pretty darn similar. There are some differences with them in regard to colorations and some other things, but we won't get into that. Now, when it comes to gopher snakes and bull snakes, the reason why I like them is that they have a pretty fun and spicy attitude. It's like one of those things where it's like they're super defensive and they strike at you, but at the end of the day, if you just go in confidently and pick them up, they're just chill out pretty quickly after a while of being handled and recognizing that you're not really a threat and that sort of thing. I have gotten bit by a little baby gopher snake before, but yeah, that's one of the things I really love about the gopher snakes and bull snakes is that they have a really fun attitude. Another thing that I love about them is their size. I have a thing for big snakes in a way, not super big like reticulated python level, but I like a good old sized snake that you can hold with both hands and that sort of thing. It's so much. I just love the size.
That's what she said.
Of how active they are and how big they are. It is so fun to be able to handle them because you actually have more of a substance to hold on to and you can feel them move around more and stuff. It's more fun. I like it. They're a very cool snake. Very active, and yeah, it's pretty fun. I would say in terms of gopher snakes and bull snakes, I would give them a ranking of B tier. The next snake that I have on my list is the night snake, and the really interesting thing about this snake is that first off, it's a pretty small snake, but it can easily be mistaken for just like a baby gopher snake or a bull snake or that sort of thing. But fun story, actually. One day, I was headed out with my parents to go to church and all that fun stuff on a Sunday morning. And as soon as I step out, there's a snake right on the stair of the front door. And I was like, what? What is this? So I pick it up. I take a look. I was like, oh, this is an interesting little snake. I didn't realize they had these blotches on the back of their neck like that. And then I was like, I wonder what type of snake this is. So I took a few photos and stuff, and then I looked it up and I was like, this can't be a gopher snake or bull snake. So let's see what some other snakes there are. So I looked and I found the night snake and I was like, oh wow, I never expected to see one of these. First off, because they were a nighttime species, or well, they're active mostly at night and that sort of thing, which is really fun. I like nocturnal animals. They're usually pretty cool. And that sort of thing. Yeah, they're pretty cool snake. They're pretty darn small. Definitely smaller than a gopher snake or a bull snake. And another thing about them that I found out is they're actually slightly venomous. They have a sort of rear fang venom, a rear fang in a way. At least if I recall correctly. You guys could if anyone knows, I probably could just look this up, but if any of you know, feel free to put it in the comments. But yeah, they are semi-venomous, which is pretty cool. Technically my first snake that first venomous snake that I held. Technically, so let's be honest though, I would have had to let the snake chew on me for a while for it to actually take effect, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. So in terms of the night snake, for me, I'm gonna rank it S tier. That is a very cool, unique snake that you don't really expect to find much, to be honest. They're very secretive. Now the next snake that I'm going to rank is the rubber boa, and one of the things about the rubber boa is their scales. I've noticed when I held one, not in the wild, unfortunately, I have not found one in the wild yet, at least. But when I was holding one, I noticed their feeling of their scales is like so weird. Like when you normally like feel a snake's scales, like for example with a gopher snake or bull snake, it's more like rough and like sort of like a slightly rough bead. I wouldn't say bead, kind of like rice, kind of. I don't know how to describe it, but sort of like rough feeling with a slight like smoothness to it. And with what I've noticed with the rubber boas, their skin feels more like a velvety like texture. It is so crazy. It's very like velvety and like soft. It's really cool. I never expected a snake to feel that way. And they're pretty small, and they're a natural boa that lives on this side of the US, i.e., Idaho, Oregon, that whole area, which is pretty fun. I have yet to find one, as I've said before, but hopefully I will eventually. But in terms of ranking the rubber boa, I would say it's an A tier. A tier snake. Change my mind. Now, the next snake on my list is the California mountain king snake. Now, when I saw one of these guys, actually, was on a backpacking trip, and we were very tired and dehydrated, so I could have been hallucinating this. But on our way to a campsite, I pretty sure there was one on the trail that I found. I would have gotten a photo, but we were like dying, probably literally, because of we were out of water and yeah, that sort of thing. But yeah, they're really awesome. I love their coloration, and they're a king snake, which is awesome because that means they get pretty big, a very good size. And with king snakes, I've heard they make pretty good pets as well. I mean, they're a pretty active snake, similar to gopher snakes and bull snakes, I imagine. I love king snakes and that sort of thing in general. I'm a big fan of them. Yeah, I'm a big fan of any like decently sized medium to large snake. Another interesting thing about the mountain king snake is the fact that they're a multicolored non-venomous snake. They're like the only multicolored non-venomous snake on this side of the US, which is pretty darn cool, which is another reason why I love them. I would 100% be down to get one as a pet eventually. I'm not sure exactly though, because if I remember correctly, they are an endangered species, so I imagine you would probably have some issues with that. You'd have to get some sort of like permit or something like that. But in terms of the California mountain king snake, I'm gonna put them in A tier because they're just awesome. I love them. A tier. A tier for the king snake. Now, the next snake on my list is the Pacific rattlesnake. And the reason why I love these guys, or I mean, I don't necessarily love these guys. These guys are pretty cool, I will admit. But in terms of like vipers, they're pretty bland, I will say. But they're pretty unique. And I've only seen one of these in the wild. And this leads me into a little rant that I will 100% go into right now. And that is, back in the day when I was living back in Oregon, there's a place in Oregon called Roxanne, and it is rumored, apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently there's a butt ton of rattlesnakes that you can find around Roxanne. And I don't know what's wrong with me, apparently. I don't know if I'm just really bad luck or something, but literally everyone else that I've went there with in my family has seen a pretty darn big rattlesnake. And when I go, there's like nothing. Not even a gopher snake to find. Like, maybe I'm just walking too fast, because I've noticed when I go hiking, I'm set on being on the trail and go. Maybe that's my issue. And yeah, I'm just dead set on going. But still, statistically speaking, I have never seen a rattlesnake in Oregon at Roxanne, which was apparently the area where there was supposed to be a butt ton of rattlesnakes. But yeah, everyone else gets to see them but me there. So disappointed. So disappointed. Uh, maybe there's like this thing with the rattlesnakes over there. It's like, oh, okay, he's gonna be around here, boys. Everyone avoid this one specific guy. Yeah. To be fair, though, it probably was a good idea because I was younger, and I'll be honest, young and stupid. I mean, I am still pretty young, but very dumb back then. I would have instinctively tried to like pick it up and be like, oh shoot, that's a rattlesnake, and that sort of thing. Which luckily that never happened, but at least allegedly. That brings me to another story that I have with the rattlesnakes, and that was on a backpacking trip, specifically the very first backpacking trip that I went on, which was awesome. I saw a butt ton of stuff. And the second backpacking trip I went on, which was kind of disappointing because I barely saw anything, which, to be fair, was because the weather was pretty bad. But anyways, so we were on one of those areas that you camp and like spend the night before you move on your hike, and that sort of like just set up. And so there was this like creek that runs by into a bigger river along the campsite, and we were just chilling, and me and my cousin, we actually went down to get some water, and I saw specifically a racer snake along the side of the trail, and I tried to get it, and racers are so freaking fast. It's insane. So yeah, I had no chance of catching it because it was really hot. And yeah, we got water, we came back to the site, and we waited about like 30 minutes. Then I was like, hey, cousin, you want to come back with me and see if there's something that came back there? Maybe it came back so we can catch it. He's like, sure, why not? And we go down, and as we're going down the trail, I look down, I see a snake. I was like, oh, look, a snake. I'm literally mid-reach into grabbing the snake. I was like, oh, wait, shoot, that's a rattlesnake. And yeah. Thank goodness I caught myself right in the middle of that, because we were in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And if I had gotten bit, I was like, I'm losing a limb. That's all I'm going to say. I'm losing a finger. For sure. It was like it was a little like baby rattlesnake. I wasn't sure exactly if it was quite like a baby, because it probably was bigger than a baby. Probably like, I don't know. But it was a pretty darn young snake. It was only probably about like maybe a foot long for a little rattlesnake. So yeah, that was my very first rattlesnake encounter. And luckily for me, I didn't do anything stupid. Very lucky indeed. In terms of ranking the Pacific rattlesnakes, I would say they're a C tier. They're not exactly my most favorite, but they're not like, I wouldn't say there's any snake that I like hate. I like them all, at least at some level. So yeah, a solid C for the Pacific rattlesnake. Now the next snake on my list is the Western yellow belly, or just the racer snake in general. And these guys are pretty darn cool. I have like a hidden side quest, I feel like, where I've just bent on finding one and catching it, because from that experience I told you before on that backpacking trip before I saw the rattlesnake, they're so freaking fast. If I was in an open area, like a clearing, and I saw one, I was trying to catch it, I would literally have to like sprint and probably like dive just to like catch it. It's insane how fast they can move with their tubular bodies. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love them so much, is because they're so darn hard to catch. It's like such a challenge. It's like asking me to like try to do it. But at the end of the day, all you have to do is just go out in the morning when it's like cool but not like too cold, when they're out basking, so you like catch them. Yeah, that's what I need to do. The hard part with that is that I need to just get up early and do it. In regards to the racer snake, I would put it in A tier. Now, the next snake on my list is the ringneck snake, and apparently, at least according to the books that I've read, there are some ringnecks in Idaho. I'm not exactly sure if that's true because I've never seen them, nor have I gotten really the chance to explore any like creek habitat along the sides and that sort of stuff. Because I do know about ringnecks is that they like more cool environments and that sort of thing, which makes it, I guess, a little hard, but also easier to find them because you know exactly where they would want to be. But also, it's kind of hard, especially if you're in an area that has mostly desert and like not much of any like water, of like bodily water and that sort of thing. So that is a hard part about them. Allegedly, they are in Idaho, I've heard, but I don't know. I'll have to go out and look for them myself. But one thing I really love about the ringneck is the fact their belly is so colorful. It is absolutely insane. It could be telling of any predators that are like, hey, I'm poisonous, totally. I'm totally poisonous or venomous, and you shouldn't eat me, and that sort of gist, which that usually is the case for most animals that have bright colorations, and especially snakes. It usually is like a warning saying, yeah, as I said before, I'm venomous or poisonous and that sort of gist, so don't mess with me. But with these guys, they're obviously not venomous. They're not poisonous, at least as far as I know. I wouldn't try eating one, honestly. That doesn't sound like a good idea. but they're a pretty cool little snake. They are found like burrowing in the ground, kind of, and like under bark and all that fun stuff. So that's a really fun thing about them, that they're colorful and small. Apparently, you can also find them as pets. I'm not sure if that's exactly a good idea because I'm gonna be honest, I doubt there's any non-wild caught ringneck snakes that you can get as pets. So that's kind of illegal. In terms of ranking the ringneck, I would say they're a solid S tier, because of how pretty they are, and they're cute because they're small, but not too small, and that sort of thing. Now, the last snake on my list is the garter snakes, and the reason why I just said garter snakes is because I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of different I wouldn't say they're probably not subspecies, but there's a lot of different types in the group in the area, just because most of like the area, especially along the coast in Oregon, is the perfect habitat for them. So there's going to be a lot of variety and all that fun stuff. And speaking of garter snakes variety, I remember when I was at the coast, there was this small little garter snake I found on like a really windy, like kind of cold day at the beach, which, let's be honest, is there really a day where it's not cold on the West Coast? There's literally, I don't know where this dream day is from, but I don't think it exists. But it was like a little garter snake that had like a reddish brown, actually, with like a very faint garter snake line down it and stuff. I was so intrigued by it. I was like, what is this? What like subspecies or like species of garter snake is this? So I remember going through my field guide, looking at every single species in it. And like, there's no way it's that. And I just keep going. I was like, oh, it's like a coastal garter snake. That's what that is. It's in the name, which would make sense. But it's just crazy to think that a little garter snake like that would be able to survive along the West Coast, which is mostly like super stormy and like super freaking windy. Like it's hard to remember a day at the coast where it's not really windy and that sort of thing. But I guess if you think about it, since they're such a small snake, I assume the lower you are to the ground, the less wind you're going to have. And there's a lot of grass at the coast, so yeah, I assume that shields them from that sort of pain. But yeah, in terms of garter snakes, another thing that I love about them is how social they are. It is pretty darn cute, especially seeing those photos of them all like
Hi,
huddled
how
together
are
in
ya?
like a hole, like poking their heads out. It's so fun. I've always wanted to go to like one of those places where they hibernate and then they just come out during the spring with an insane amount of garter snakes just popping out and just vibing. When it comes to garter snakes, I would say they're a C tier, or C. They're not exactly my favorite, but they're not like my least favorite. Now guys, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to tickle the algorithm by leaving a comment down below about what you thought about this video. And other than that, CrimsGreyVR out.